morning, everyone. I welcome all of you to the CLAT Possible official YouTube channel. Today, we are going to take up the current affairs of the past 2 days, that is the 6th and the 7th February. I have consolidated a list of very important news from your examination perspective. So without wasting any more time, let's get down with it. The very first one is something that all of us have been reading about, and I believe that this is a news that's going to keep coming in the newspapers. This is to do with the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. As you may have read in the papers, initially the amount of casualties, the number was different, and that number just keeps increasing every day. This earthquake was not just one earthquake, it was a series of earthquakes. As everyone is aware, whenever there is an earthquake, there are a lot of aftershocks. The problem with this one was the magnitude, and secondly, even the magnitude of the aftershocks was a lot. So let's understand this news from our examination perspective, and let's also keep in mind that this particular news is going to come up again and again. Another reason why this disaster management is a little tough. You see, earthquakes are the most common types of disasters that take place in the world. Having said that, it is a little difficult to prepare for them because the reaction time is rather less. So the world as a community needs to step up its game, and there need to be a lot of more scientific advances that need to be made so as to be able to predict an earthquake. As of now, we are in the reactive phase. What we need to start doing is we need to start being more proactive in nature. So the very first thing that we need to know with respect to the earthquake in Turkey and Syria is the magnitude. So 7.8 magnitude earthquake. You see, any magnitude, 2 weeks ago, there was another earthquake which was there in Nepal, wherein the magnitude was 5.8. Over here, the magnitude is huge, right? Secondly, you have to understand that this was just 17.9 kilometer below the Earth's surface. So there are earthquakes that are deep, and then there are earthquakes that are shallow. The more shallow the earthquake, the more is the energy and more is the devastation that it spreads. If we talk about and if we compare this particular earthquake with the one that took place 2 weeks ago in Nepal, the one in Nepal was a deep earthquake. Hence, the casualties, the kind of destruction was way less than the one that has just taken place on Monday in Turkey. So in a span of 12 hours, like I said, after an earthquake, there are a lot of aftershocks. In a span of 12 hours, at least 41 more were recorded, including one which was of 7.5 magnitude. So, of course, an aftershock is something that is common after an earthquake. But an aftershock, the magnitude of which is so huge is a bit uncommon, in the sense, of course, it will lead to a lot more destruction, right? So, and this one also was closer to the Earth's surface than the first one. Hence, it caused a lot more damage because there was a lot more energy. So, shallow earthquake, more energy, more devastating. This is something that we've understood. It was 100 times bigger than the one in Nepal, which was 5.8 in magnitude, which happened 2 weeks ago. Okay, so let's further understand a little bit about, what are the kind of questions that can be asked. So everybody understands that the seismic activities or the seismic waves are huge in many areas, right? So in this particular region, it is due to the interaction between the African, Eurasian and the Arabian plates. So you can see this on the screen, this is the Arabian plate and the African plate and the Eurasian plate. So what is happening is, if you can see this on the screen, yes, you can. So the Arabian plate is pushing upwards, because of which the Anatolian block is going westward. And that is where Turkey lies. And this is the reason why this earthquake is taking place. So what we can keep in mind is African plate, Eurasian plate and Arabian plate. The Arabian plate, as it's been written over here also, the Arabian plate is pushing northward. as a result of which the Anatolian plate where Turkey is located is moving westward, and because of which this particular earthquake took place. Now, you must be reading about this term called epicenter, and you can see it on your screens that the epicenter is where the earthquake strikes. I mean, the Earth's surface where it strikes for the first time, right? So, the epicenter of the 7.8 magnitude earthquake, the one that took place for the first time and after which there were aftershocks, right? That was the southern Turkey's Gaziantep province. So this is something that we need to learn. We need to learn this name, this particular province. Gaziantep is right here, okay? Now, epicenter of the 7.5 magnitude earthquake is Ekinozu in Kahramanmaras. So Kahramanmaras is right here. You can see it over here. This was the aftershocks that we just spoke about, and the one with the huge magnitude, the epicenter was right here. Okay, so since 1970, it is said that this area has seen only 3 earthquakes of magnitude of 6 and above. And the last one was in 2020. This was in the month of January. Fine. So that is something that we can keep in mind. Now, all we can do is pray that there are no more casualties. The world is coming together to provide a lot of aid to Turkey as it should, and hopefully this will subside. By the way, this is just for your knowledge that the amount of seismic activity in the Himalayan plates is way more, right? But since it's very unpredictable when an earthquake is going to strike, the scientists and the analysts say in case it does, it will be even more devastating than this one. Hopefully, it will not happen. Now, the next one is something that you guys have read about, that Pervez Musharraf passed away at the age of 79 years in Dubai because of this illness called amyloidosis. Now, certain facts about Pervez Musharraf that become a little important for us. You are aware, very, very aware of this fact that under the Pakistan administration, it's very tough for a prime minister to sort of stay for the entire term. Something or the other keeps happening, and most of the time these are military coups. The previous prime minister before Shehbaz Sharif was Imran Khan. To remove him, the no confidence motion took place. Now, if you talk about Pervez Musharraf, General Pervez Musharraf, he had ousted the Nawaz Sharif government in a military coup in 1999. 1999 was the year of the Kargil war also, correct? And he was one of the, he played one of the key roles, or he was one of the masterminds in this particular war. He was also the president till 2008, wherein then he resigned because of the fact that an impeachment motion had started against him. And then he left Pakistan and he went out. He was also charged with high treason and sentenced to death in Pakistan after Nawaz Sharif came into power again, right? He was also part of the 1971 war, the Indo-Pakistan war, which basically led to the liberation of present-day Bangladesh. At that time, it was East Pakistan. We've already spoken about the Kargil War. And apart from that, there is an association of certain countries for regional cooperation called SAARC. You will go and read about it. In the sense, you should know when was this formed, who were the original members, right? And what is the objective of this particular thing? Apart from that, you should also know where is the secretariat. Now, this is your homework. You will do it in case you can't find it. Of course, you can come back to your teachers and they will tell you. But kindly go over that and jot that down in your notes, right? So, in 2004, there was a summit of SAARC in Islamabad, wherein a joint statement for composite dialogue process was introduced by Pervez Musharraf and our Prime Minister at that time, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Right? So these are certain things that you need to know about Pervez Musharraf. Apart from that, of course, he was born in Old Delhi and his father was a civil servant. And the story goes that he had also gone to Turkey, and well, the rest is history. So Now we can go ahead. The next one is Rajasthan plans zoo for dolphins, rhinos inside Bharatpur Sanctuary. Okay, so now why are we reading about it? This is a state government that is doing something, but whatever is happening in a place called Keoladeo National Park, and you have read about it. Why? Firstly, because of the fact that it is a World Heritage Site, and secondly, when you read about the Ramsar Convention, I don't know whether the classes have gone up till there or not, you will again read about this in Chilika Lake, right? So now what is happening is there is a Bharatpur bird sanctuary over here where there are a lot of species of birds. And there's this area where a lot of migratory birds come, right? And what is happening is the Rajasthan government is planning to open up a zoo over there and bring a lot of exotic species and also dolphins and rhinos. Now, the experts are of the opinion that in case this zoo is, made wherever it is being proposed, it will be a little wrong in the sense that it will destroy the habitat of these migratory birds. So hence they are of the opinion that, okay, open up this zoo, but don't open it up wherever you are thinking, possibly a couple of kilometers away, or more than a couple of kilometers away. That would make more sense. But what is happening right now is something that we can read, right? So Keoladeo National Park, of course, is in Rajasthan, popularly known as Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary, also a World Heritage Site. So this particular zoo, this particular project is also called the Wetland Ex situ Conservation Establishment. It is part of Rajasthan's Forestry and Biodiversity Development Project. Another thing which you can possibly learn, which is interesting also, is that the overseas development branch of the French government has promised to put in funds in this particular program, right? So it has agreed to fund up to 1200 crore for up to 8 years for this particular program. So let's see whether they listen to the research analysts and whether they shift the location of the proposed zoo or not. Regardless, if one national park of one state is in news, then I think your homework now should be, and I'm sure that you've already realized, that you need to know how many national parks are there in Rajasthan. You could possibly go and make a note of that. And apart from it, you should go and read a little bit about Keoladeo National Park, as in when we do our Ramsar conventions, we will also talk about it. Now, the next one is the light combat aircraft makes a maiden landing on INS Vikrant. Now, INS Vikrant is an aircraft carrier. Okay, so there were two versions of INS Vikrant. Everyone's aware of it. One was the ex-HMS Hercules, which we had got from the United Kingdom, and then we had commissioned this particular aircraft carrier in the year 1961. It played a very important role in the Indo-Pak 1971 war. Eventually, it was decommissioned in 1997, served as a museum for some time, and then later on, certain scraps were also sold. Now, what happened was, just as an ode to the previous INS Vikrant, the Cochin Shipyard Limited built the indigenously developed aircraft carrier. At least 76% of it is indigenously built, and it was formally inaugurated in September last year, that is September 2022. So what is in news right now? So as of now, INS Vikrant, the operating existing MiG-29Ks is in service on this particular aircraft carrier. A few months ago, these light combat aircrafts had also made a landing on INS Vikramaditya. What is in news right now is now it has made a landing on aircraft carrier, which is INS Vikrant. Now, why is this important for us? It is able to carry a particular aircraft which is indigenously built, and since Make in India is so much, vocal for local, is so much in vogue right now, this shows the capacity of India to build its own weapons and its own aircraft carriers as well as their own aircrafts. All right, so a little bit about INS Vikrant. To 2,300 compartments, it can accommodate 1,700 people, and we also know that women are being inducted into the Indian Air Force and Indian so because of which, special cabins for women officers are also being made. Top speed is 28 knots. 262-kilometer long, 62-meter wide, and height is 59 meters. You need to keep this in mind. Apart from that, commissioned and decommissioned is something that we've already spoken about. And so hence we come down to the very last one for the day, exceptionally important and something that you guys have been reading about and we've been talking about it in class, where US has shot down the alleged spy balloon which was placed by China. I'm using the term alleged because of the fact that it is not really proven, and also because of the fact that China negates this particular claim and says, oh, this is act of God, and we were trying to measure the meteorological changes and it just came into your territory. You do understand what is act of God, right? Unforeseeable, unavoidable in nature. And what has happened is US has shot down this particular alleged spy balloon, because of which the Chinese administration says that this is this is not correct and we will also strike back, and there was no point in using so much of force for something like a meteorological balloon, which was also an act of God, so it has innocently come into your passage. Of course, one can never know what the reality was, but the point of this entire thing is, if I may answer this particular thing in just one word, that word, or maybe two words, that those words are territorial sovereignty, right? So territorial sovereignty also extends up to the air, right? And let's take an example of territorial waters, for example, right? So from the coast, we have a little bit of an area which is a territorial water. Now, in case someone else's ship innocently passages into the territorial waters of a particular country, international law basically says that, of course, you'll have to go and investigate whether it was actually innocent or not. In case it was innocent, you're not going to take such drastic steps against them, because you see the whole concept of act of God comes into play. In a very similar manner, let's see what happens next over here. What we can learn from this entire thing is two things. Firstly, which is the fighter jet that was used to destroy the alleged spy balloon, and secondly, where was it destroyed? So US F-22 fighter jets, a little bit about them. So the F-22 Raptor is considered to be US Air Force's crown jewel. It's one of the most advanced aircrafts in the world, right? Also considered to be one of the costliest, most expensive, right? Around 195 Raptors have been produced by Lockheed Martin, and all of them have been inducted in the US Air Force. It was officially inducted in 2005, and it is considered to be a very, very strong aircraft. Some also believed, why are you using such a strong aircraft to destroy just a balloon, right? So there are two perspectives to it. So some of them believe, some of the analysts believe that, not every fighter jet is able to go up till, a lot of altitude, height. So, but however, if you talk about the F-22, it can go up to a very, very, it can go very high. And since the balloon was at a very huge height, it made sense to use the F-22 to destroy it. Second, some of them also believe that this was basically the US showing its power, that if you mess with me, I have this and we can do this to you and blah blah blah. But the point is, we don't know what's going to happen, and all we know is now that the Chinese administration has threatened to hit back, so we can keep reading our papers with respect to that. That is all from my side for today. kindly do the homework that I've asked you to do. One is Sark, and the second one was Keoladeo National Park. You know, a little bit about it. Where is its location? Precisely, where is it located? And you could also possibly read a little bit about wetlands and what do they mean and why do we need to conserve them. So that is all from my side. Thank you very much. Keep studying hard, and I will see you again.